What you know, Alibuyers? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It's Tuesday, December 9th. We are going to knock out the afternoon testimony on day 7 of the Brian Walshe trial. But first, at the end of the day, the judge told the jurors to report at 10 a.m. as opposed to 9, and she expects all evidence to be in tomorrow, and court could end early. So I assume the state could rest, and then we would go into the defense case. There were a couple of more witnesses that came up that told how they contributed to getting the DNA samples ready for analysis. Suman Salim was the witness that testified about analyzing that DNA. She is a forensic scientist 3 with the Massachusetts State Police. She goes through how they extract DNA. It's very technical. I won't get into it. Let's just hop into the results. For the slippers, there was a mixture of 3 contributors, with 2 of those being Brian and Anna. For the Tyvek suit, Brian and Anna, and then the stain on the gauze with tape, that was only Brian. For Anna, they found her DNA on the white towel, the hairs from the trash bag, the rug, the basement floor, the hacksaw blade and handle, the unknown tissue from the Swampscott dumpster. For the head of the hatchet, it was Anna and then another contributor whose DNA was not suitable for comparison. Her DNA was also found on the handle of the hatchet. On cross, you said the slippers had 3 contributors. You used the phrase 3 individuals when you write the report. Isn't it more accurate to say the mixture is from at least 3 individuals? And the witness says no. When they're doing their testing, they use what they have in their DNA profile. You have to determine the number of contributors, and there could be more that aren't detected. And the defense says there could be more. Yes, but she observed a mixture of only 3 contributors. The defense goes through very technical DNA stuff that was way over my head, so I'm not going to attempt it. And then the defense brings up that you can't say how DNA landed on these items. And he mentions again things being commingled in these bags and also them being put through a compactor. He also says you can't say if the sample you get a profile for is a blood sample or from skin cells, and she says no. Even though you get a sample identified as a red-brown stain and get a full profile from that stain, you can't say if that came from skin cells or blood cells. No. The last witness of the day was Michael Roddy. He works at a HomeGoods store in Norwell. They bring in a receipt from a Marshall's for a purchase on December 2nd, 2022. Anna was in Baltimore, Maryland when she made a purchase, including kids' toys and stationery. On December 28th, 2022, Anna returned some of those items and got a refund of $216.44. But since there was no receipt with the return, they put those on store credit cards. They bring in surveillance of Brian in the HomeGoods store on January 2nd, 2023. First clip, we see him walk in. Then we see him in line to check out. He's looking at those items they have in the queue for sale, which, y'all, I'm a huge sucker for. He grabs some items off the shelf, and then the next clip shows an overhead view of him checking out at 9:44 a.m., and then we see him go through the door to leave. They bring in the receipt. He bought some mango-scented candles and rolled rugs. The total sale was $245.35. He paid with those store credit cards Anna got when she returned those items in Maryland. There was another return in Massachusetts on December 8th. The original purchase was on December 2nd, and that was for men's clothing and children's toys. That was returned with a receipt. They bring in surveillance from January 4th, 2023 of Brian at a HomeGoods in Norwell at 9:57 a.m. On cross, there was a transaction made in the Maryland, D.C. area where they got store credit. And that card finds its way to Massachusetts, and it's used in January of 2023. There's nothing unusual if a family is trading cards back and forth, and the witness says no. Did they ask you to get video of the transactions from December in the D.C., Maryland area? And the witness said it wasn't a HomeGoods, it was a Marshall's, so he wouldn't have that. And that was it for testimony for today. It's been some really short days to recap, but not all that bad, right? I'm getting done early. Not getting into bed at 1 a.m. is nice. So that's it for today. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you soon.